Well, hello everyone and welcome to another edition of DirtFish Debates. Listen, it's getting closer and closer, isn't it? The return to the stages of our glorious World Rally cars. We have a confirmed date now, obviously, with Rally Estonia. Really is very good news. But in the meantime, because we still have to wait a little while to see the world's very best drivers out on the world's very best stages, in the meantime, we thought we'd catch up with a few of them for you to see what they've been up to and maybe to get some views on some of the current situations affecting the World Rally Championship. So, it's my great pleasure to introduce this morning and to say hello to, from the Ford team, Teemu Suninen. Teemu, a very good morning to you.
Hello. It actually started to be afternoon for me. I woke up 6 hours ago in Estonia and had some good training already.
Oh, gee whiz, I've just got out of my bed. I've not even had my cup of coffee yet. How bad is that? But Mito Kolo, terve, good morning to you indeed, Teemu. And, well, not so far away in the same time zone as us, from the Toyota team, Elfyn Evans. Elfyn, a very good morning to you. It is still morning in Wales, isn't it?
Yeah, it definitely is. Morning, Colin.
Are you well?
Yeah, all good, thank you. All good.
Yeah, fantastic. Good to see you, Elfyn. And, well, I don't know where Thierry is. He's been in Monaco, he's been in Belgium, he's been in Sweden. But from the Hyundai team, Thierry Neuville. Thierry, good morning to you. Whereabouts are you this morning?
Good morning, guys. I'm in Monaco right now together with the family and, yeah, spending some fabulous time. The weather is nice, so enjoying it.
Isn't that just the absolute benefit of this time off? I have seen the odd little snippet of you playing daddy, and it's just great, isn't it, to spend so much time with the kids?
It is definitely, but I think we are a couple of drivers who shared that same experience and had the same time to benefit from the family and just take it as a break and enjoy that free time.
Yeah, but I'll tell you now, Thierry, 5 months of changing nappies, that's enough. That's enough. You know, get back behind the wheel of that rally car soon. Right, boys, let's kick off. We've had some questions in from our listeners and our readers on dirtfish.com. Now, the first one's an interesting one, and it really is looking forward to Rally Estonia. But it comes from Javor in Hungary, and he said he read the article on dirtfish.com where it quoted Sebastian Ogier, making some fairly strong comments about the FIA and the WRC promoters' response to the coronavirus and in terms of their planning. So, Elfyn, I'll ask this one to you first. You know, we do have 6 weeks to go. Do you think as a sport, we are prepared for Rally Estonia? Are we coronavirus prepared?
It's difficult to answer the question because I don't know all the circumstances. I don't even know a lot of the details that have been planned at the moment. I think perhaps the team will be in a better position to comment because they're more in contact with the FIA. But I've been travelling out to Finland, obviously to test, and all that has been able to be done safely. So from my experiences so far, I would like to think so, but. Let's say I don't have all the information at the moment.
Yeah, you know what? I think there's a lot that's going on out there that we're maybe not party to as yet, but I'm absolutely sure that there's quite, there is quite comprehensive planning underway. Thierry, are you feeling comfortable? Are you feeling comfortable with what we're seeing and what we're hearing?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, we can compare rally as well with Formula One, where we've seen already some races. First of all, they had to kick off the season. We have had already a couple of events, and we are maybe a little bit more relaxed on that side as well because the promoter now promised to get 5 or 6 rounds going, and I think if you can get that season done and especially start into next year's season as nothing has happened and as normal, I think we can be quite satisfied with the situation.
Yep, I agree with that entirely. I think that's a really good point. Teemu, you're perhaps closest to it. You just mentioned earlier on that you're in Estonia just now, and Finland has dealt very, very well with this corona crisis, even although we did sadly lose Rally Finland. What are your feelings ahead of a return in Rally Estonia about our preparedness to deal with the current situation, Teemu?
Yeah, actually, I'm pretty confident to see the situation, how it's here. And for me, everything here looks quite okay for the rally. But still haven't heard the things what we are going to change for the corona and how we are covering it. So it's difficult to say exactly how we are going to manage it, or because I haven't heard what the teams and FIA have told. But yeah, at least here in Estonia, the corona is quite well managed, so that's pretty safe to start the rallies.
Good. Another question that's come in from one of our listeners. It's actually James in the north of England. And he mentions the calendar. A couple of you boys there mentioned the calendar. And he makes a very good point. It's fantastic that we do have a calendar and we do have a championship. And I'll come to you with this one, Thierry. But what he says is the only rally that looks the same as previously is Turkey. All of the other rallies are either new or at different times of year. How would you prepare for that? It's going to take... The rallies are coming very close together, Thierry. More or less 4 new rallies, potentially 5 if we go to Ypres. How do we prepare for that in such a short period of time?
I would say that there was enough time to keep yourself in a good shape already. We all know that if the season is starting very soon, that it's going to be very, very intense, not only for the drivers and co-drivers, but as well for the whole team. Actually, even more for the whole team, because they have to prepare the cars for every single event. But I know that our team is well prepared for that, and there was enough time to get the logistics working on it as well. And so I'm not scared about that, and really looking forward actually to get it going again. I mean, as you said before, we have spent many months at home, and it's enough now. We have to get it going and get driving again.
Yeah, but Elfyn, we're looking at different times of the year for these rallies. They are going to look very different from what we've been used to. You know, Germany could look very much strangely like Rally GB, couldn't it, with the mud and the leaves? We're going to Sardinia a lot later than we have before. Ypres, Estonia, Japan, all these new rallies. In terms of personal preparation, Elfyn, in terms of learning those rallies, getting to know those rallies as best you can, what can you do?
Well, we obviously know that when it comes to the all new rallies, obviously there's not so much we can do, because obviously we can't go and recce them beforehand. So it's simply a case of watching the videos as best as we can. Obviously, in terms of the weather conditions, you mentioned Germany could be difficult, but I wasn't in Germany last year, and I think it was the first full dry rally Germany since I don't know how long. So we're used to getting rain in places like Germany. Of course, we were in Estonia last year, so that will help a little bit. So we have snippets of what we can expect, and hopefully we can prepare as we do in the normal way. Thierry already mentioned it's going to be a fairly busy and intense end to the year, but hopefully we've all had enough time to rest and prepare as well as possible for this.
Yeah, and Teemu, obviously, we are talking about, they're not new rallies. Okay, 1 or 2 of them are new, but we're talking about a different look to some of these rallies. What that generally means is that, anything can happen. And with it being a short season, it gives everyone the opportunity, doesn't it? Potentially to score some good results towards the end of the year.
Yeah, for me, it changed the games a bit. And there is big possibilities for some challenges or surprises for young drivers. And now we are more on the same level with the experience in the new rallies, but still, of course, the fast guys will be fast even in new rallies. So, but I believe there will be some surprises, which is good.
I think you're right. I'm looking forward to surprises. Elfyn, I think something that won't surprise us is Estonia, because as you mentioned, we've been to Estonia before. We know how fast that Toyota was. We've watched your testing. I stood at the side of the test road in Finland and was absolutely blown away by not just how fast that Toyota was, but just how precise and how solid it looked on the roads. Estonia is going to be a good one for Toyota. It's a good one for you guys to come back to.
Yeah, we definitely hope so. Obviously, I had my first taste on that first test that you came to visit, and we've done another test since. And I have to say that the car is feeling good in that sort of fast road environment. And of course, we know that the competition will be difficult as always. But so far, the feeling's good, and hopefully, we can have a good start when it kicks off in Estonia.
Yeah, Thierry, how are you feeling about Estonia? Because it's well documented, and Mr. Adamo has said it himself. There was certainly some work to do with that Hyundai i20 on the high-speed rallies, and Estonia will be just about as quick as any of them. Now, we saw some development work going on in Finland. Are you feeling more confident that you can compete against the Toyotas and the Fords after that development work in Finland?
I'm pretty confident that, as Elfyn already mentioned, that the fight will be intense for all the manufacturers and everybody will be fast. Who will have the upper hand? We don't know now. What I know is that Oit has driven the rally last year and definitely gonna try to bring our team there as well prepared as possible with the information we have from previous years. And I have been there in 2012 last time. I can barely remember the stages, a bit more the after party, which was very intense as well. But I'm looking forward to it. I mean, it's in basically new rally for me in that perspective, and I'm gonna try to do as well as I can. I think Ott has definitely very very good chances, as Elfyn as well, with the experience they have from previous years. But we are not giving up before we have started. So.
Yeah, I think it's going to be very, very interesting because clearly Oit has got the local knowledge. We have a feeling that Toyota maybe, though, will have the upper hand with the car. Perhaps we have to wait and see how that development testing did actually affect the Hyundai. But if we look at the calendar then, Thierry, you must really be hoping to balance things out, I suppose, that Ypres does come into the calendar. Now, once again, we're hearing some really strong rumours that there's a very, very good chance that would happen. I guess that you would dearly love that to happen.
Yeah, I'm probably not the only one. I mean, Ypres is a very challenging rally on tarmac. Probably one of the most untypical tarmac events any of the drivers have seen before. So I'm really looking forward to that. I think chances are very high that we're going to see this event in the WRC calendar. And I think it could be obviously a good opportunity for us as well to aim for a good result. But before that, there are some other tough events to manage before we're going to hit probably to Ypres.
Yeah, for sure. Teemu, what do you know about, Estonia? Obviously, you're there just now. And Ypres. What do you know of those two events?
Yeah, actually, I did Rally Estonia last year with our 5 cars. So basically, I have tools to prepare for the rally. Some videos from the last year. But about Ypres, I don't know anything, basically. Just seen some YouTube videos, and it looks quite challenging rally with big cutting places, and in that time of the year there might be some rain and mud, and which makes driving even more difficult. But we just need to take a challenge and try our best.
As you will all do, I'm sure. I'm very much looking forward to that. Now, a question from Thomas Harrison Lord. Thomas sent this through Facebook. A little bit of an easier question for you boys. You can take a little breather with this one. Not too much pressure. In a dream world scenario, which rally, Elfyn, would you like to be on the WRC calendar that isn't already there? What would be your favourite rally to put on the calendar, Elfyn?
I think for me personally, I've always enjoyed rallying in Ireland. And I have to be careful what I say because obviously it's fighting for a spot against my home rally, Rally GB. But yeah, I mean, I've done a lot of rallying over there. I've always really enjoyed it. And some of the classic Northern Ireland stages are really rewarding to drive. And I think it would be pretty exciting with these cars. So I would definitely like a rally in Ireland, but I would like to have it not at the expense of Rally GB if possible.
That's quite interesting, isn't it? We're looking at next year's calendar as well, and GB's not there. Yeah, it could be interesting. But when we talk about tarmac, Elfyn, Teemu talked about it, and Thierry talked about it as well. Ypres quite, it's quite unique tarmac. A lot of people think, well, tarmac is tarmac. Well, it's not, is it? We've got Ypres that's unique. We've got these lanes in Ireland, which in themselves are very unique. Tarmac presents a fairly varied challenge.
Yeah, it does. I think, we've all seen sort of, let's say, difference in form when we go from Corsica to Germany and Germany to Spain. So much variation in tarmac. Now in the championship, it has become sort of very much a gravel-dominated championship. So for me, there's room for one or two more tarmac rallies on there.
I think you're right. Teemu, what about yourself? In a dream world, which rally would you like to see on the WRC calendar?
Yeah, now when Rally Estonia is on the calendar, I have to say Arctic Lapland Rally, which been Finnish Championship round in North in Rovaniemi. And I'm saying this because it's something quite extreme or quite different from the other rallies, because there might be minus 30 degrees, and then we are really pushing cars to the limits, and the challenges are different than in other rallies.
Yeah, you know what? We go to Sweden every year, and the Swedish organisers do a great job of putting on an event. But certainly in recent years, they've struggled with the snow. There's never any problems with the snow up in Rovaniemi, is there? It's always there. And, I suppose maybe it would be too much for Finland to have 2 rounds of the championship, but it's an obvious candidate, isn't it, for a snow rally?
Yeah, that would be one good option. And some years they have the problems with the snow, but it's like too much snow, and it's like 2-meter snow banks, and it's difficult to sometimes see the road because it's so high snow banks. But yeah, let's see if we are never going to get it to calendar.
Oh, I do like that problem, though. Too much snow sounds like fun. Thierry, maybe you've already given us your answer to this one, but which rally would you like to see in the WRC that's not there already?
I've given my answer before, so I'm pretty much happy with the Ipoh rally into the calendar.
Yeah, I think you're probably the one who's going to get your way before the other two, but we'll have to wait and see on that. As I say, it's constantly changing, isn't it? We keep hearing things, well, it may be included, maybe it won't be included, but certainly the whispers are getting louder that maybe we're going to go to Ypres this year. So I'm quite looking forward to that. It's definitely one of my favourite rallies. Now, we'll move on a little bit from the calendar, gentlemen. You know what? It's been a tough year, hasn't it? Really a tough year for all of us. It's been a tough year for motorsport. Next year could also be quite a challenging year, I suspect, for a lot of us. So let's look forward, boys. Let's look forward to 2022 and these new World Rally cars. What do we think? How much do we know about the cars? How much have we seen of the cars that you can tell us about? It's a question that's come out. I'm just trying to make sense of this question. Yeah, basically, there will be quite different cars, clearly, with this power boost as well. What do we know about the new cars? How much are we looking forward to seeing them? And how scary could that power boost be? It could give you a lot of speed, Elfyn. What do we know about 2022 cars? How much are we looking forward to them?
Yeah, obviously it's always exciting to get a new set of regulations. Obviously, I think we made a big step forward when we moved up to the current car, both in terms of spectacle and, of course, the driving experience for us. Obviously, the cost is quite a big element for most of the manufacturers, and you have to say that you have to take that element of it seriously in order to keep the manufacturers engaged in the WRC. But yeah, in terms of the technical specifications, I'm not too aware. The power boost button, I'm not sure if that is something of a reality, whether it will be something that we deploy or something that will be automatically deployed. So yeah, we have to wait and see the finer details on that.
Yeah, it is interesting because, the regulations came reasonably late and we're still waiting to hear, Thierry, about this power boost. But the rumour is that it could give, I find this quite astonishing, it could give up to 100 extra horsepower, which is more than 25% of the current horsepower extra. It'll boost us up towards 500 horsepower in those cars. From a fan's point of view, and from a layman's point of view, I can't imagine how difficult that'll be to handle, Thierry. But where would you deploy that? If you had the choice of deploying extra power in a rally car, would it be on the straighter, faster sections? Would it be on the tighter, twistier sections? Where would you get the most benefit from that extra 100 horsepower?
To be honest, there have been several discussions about that together with my team as well during our Finland test, and I promised to the engineer that if they give me 100 horsepower button more in the stage I was driving that day, I say there's no way I can use it. There's no place where I can use this 100 horsepower extra. But yeah, a lot of discussion are going on about the system. I think nothing is pretty clear. I spent I spent my whole day yesterday with the engineers as well on future projects, talking about this. And I know that there are too many things who are not clear yet, and nobody really knows how the electrical system is going to behave, how it's going to work. And I understood that a lot of complications still to solve before we actually can implement it properly into the new cars.
Well, that's quite interesting because we really, in terms of development times, we are getting towards a critical point, aren't we? We don't have too much more time. But from what you're saying there, Thierry, do you think that boost is necessary? Would you, given the choice, would you say yes or no to the extra boost at certain points in the stage?
Yeah, I think it could be an option. Maybe 100 horsepower is a lot, but it could be also an option to have, to use the whole extra power during a whole stage or a whole loop. But all this again will be combined with some extra cost because everybody will send more engineers and people into the stages to calculate where is the best possible opportunities to gain the most time with the extra boost. And we're going to end up like Formula E, where basically everything is driven by the engineers and calculated before. So I think there are too many question marks. There was a question as well of running only the cars in the service park, but I understood that there are also some complications with that. So I have no idea what's going to be the end decision, but anyhow, it's going to make it more interesting. It might attract as well more manufacturers to join WRC again. And hopefully we can reduce the cost and not make it even more expensive.
Yeah, no, a lot of very, very good points there. But Teemu, with this extra 100 horsepower, if it does happen, and from what Thierry's telling us, there is still some degree of uncertainty. But if you had that in Finland, you would spend more time in the air than you would on the gravel. I'm pretty sure we'd see some ridiculous jumping.
Yeah, actually in Finland, there is some places where you really use the power, extra 100 horsepower. But then I was thinking like other rallies like Sardinia or Turkey or some lower rallies, because even now we can't go like full throttle on third gear, or we need to get fourth to be able to be on full throttle. But yeah, it's correct way to go to hybrid cars, and somehow we have to reduce the cost to get some more new manufacturers to the championship.
Yeah, it is interesting, isn't it? We do see occasionally R5 cars doing exceptionally well in generally special stages, super special stages. You've got way more power than the R5 cars already, but in some circumstances, it's just not possible to use that power.
Yeah, we have seen this in slower sections. The R5 cars can be really close to us because we can't use the power. So then in the end, we have bigger car, wider car, which is not that handy in the slower places. But it would be interesting to have this button.
It really is going to be interesting. And this actually plays in nicely to this next question. It comes from Tony Hurst. And on Twitter, he is Psych Media. I think that's what it is, Tony. Really good question, actually. And he says, F1 famously has teams of strategists running scenarios and reading the data, much as you're saying, Thierry. Who develops the event strategy for you guys on events? And how does champion strategy and team strategy also come into play? So, Elfyn, we'll start with that one with you. In terms of strategizing events, it may become more important with this power boost. But right now, how do you plan strategy from a team point of view, from an individual driver's point of view?
Of course, there's work on both sides of the fence. For us as drivers, we have to obviously learn the stages. We have to be familiar with what we're going to face before we turn up to a rally. And it's the same from the engineering perspective. Those guys will conduct a recce just as we will do, and try to form a plan of what setup they think will work where. And with rallying, we know things are very likely to change, with weather, with stage conditions. So we also have to be ready to react and deviate away from that strategy, because we have, let's say, a lot more variables than perhaps they would have at a closed circuit where they can more or less predict the weather for the forthcoming weekend.
Yeah, interesting stuff. Thierry, what about yourself? In terms of the team as well, I guess you've all got individual strategies. Yourself, Oit, whoever it might be, Danny or Seb, you would start an event with individual strategies, but an overriding team strategy?
Basically, the best strategy is to start last and finish first. But it's easy to say, but it's very complicated to do. So I mean, for sure, there are several meetings going on during the event itself. I mean, the preparation, everybody knows, goes in front of the event is very important. But heading towards a rally and getting closer to the start of the event, there are so many things who are unknown. First of all, every single rally, we see different speeds from different manufacturers. Different drivers who are not usually mixing into the fight for the win, are sometimes present as well. So it makes it straight away a different strategy as well, because championship fight is important, and points are going to be crucial at the end of each event. And from there on, track out the event. You, with your feelings, with your speed, you carry, and what you feel comfortable, you make a track out the event. Your own strategy. You have to be able and flexible to adapt it during the event as well. And if you have the good feelings and you decide to go for it, you need to stick to that and try to bring home a maximum of points.
Yeah, how often then, Teemu, listening to Thierry there, how often does strategy change during the course of an event? You know, it's, I suppose the easiest thing is to start with a strategy, but how often would that then change, depending on I suppose, the rally, the conditions, how you're doing?
Yeah, I would say if the strategy is changing, it's related more to the weather. And the weather can change 3-4 times in the weekend, so it can change many times. But normally, at least I've been sticking in the same strategy from the beginning of the week, if the weather stays more or less the same. And then if we are finding out some surprises, like we are getting better positions or worse positions, then it can change again. But not very often for me.
Yeah, and it is going to be interesting potentially with this strategic use of this power boost, just to see how much more. And it's a really good point you make, Thierry, about how much more resource the teams are going to have to find to maximise that extra power boost. A lot to be discussed for sure on that point, but we'll move on a little bit, but only a very small bit. Elfyn, we're not moving too far away from your team with this question. Now, 2021, Elfyn. We know you've got a 2-year deal, minimum of a 2-year deal with Toyota. I suppose at the start of this year, there was a very good chance that you could go into 2021 as the team leader with Toyota. But the champ is staying. Ogier is staying for another year. Is that a good thing or is that a bad thing, Elfyn Evans?
It doesn't make so much difference, I don't think, at this stage. Obviously, I'm happy to see Seb continuing. He's obviously been the dominant one in the sport for so many years. So obviously he keeps the level high in the sport, let's say. And I'm happy to if he does stay. I don't believe anything's confirmed yet, but in the case that he does stay, I'll obviously be happy to continue working with him. I've worked well with him in the past. So for me overall, it's good news, and I'm happy to see him there.
Yeah, you guys really do seem to work very, very well together. You seem to bring the best out in each other, which I think is from a team point of view, that's so important for Toyota.
Yeah, I think we can work well together, and obviously we've had some good battles already this year, and hopefully that can continue now into the second half of the year. It's been working well so far.
Yeah, fantastic. And obviously, Thierry, you've had some fantastic battles with Seb over the years. You're right in the middle of another fantastic championship battle this year. Next year, it could be more of the same.
Yeah, probably it's going to continue as the season started. And obviously, I'm not worried that on the upcoming years, 2021 and 22, anything going to change. So really looking forward to that. Obviously, I think I couldn't see Seb leaving the championship after so many years in this case scenario as it is now, with the championship interrupted for a while. So I think he also wants to finish his season on a nicer way than this. So I wouldn't be surprised if he stay, and for me it would be the logical choice at the same time.
Yeah, I have to say, I think looking forward to next year, we have a scenario where potentially there are 5 or 6 or maybe even 7 drivers who will be able to fight for wins on every rally. And, we could have a situation like the one we had in 2017 where we go to the final round again with multiple drivers in with a chance of winning the championship. That's always good for the sport, Teemu, to have predictability leads to boredom and it leads to disinterest. But things are certainly not predictable these days in the World Rally Championship, and it looks the same for next year, with Ogier staying, with Rovanperä upping his game, with you guys at Ford continuing to improve. It all adds to the spectacle at every rally, Teemu.
Yeah, that's true, and it's I believe Sepp is continuing, and it's great to see him back in the rallies with the full of energy. But in the same time, I would like to see some new youngsters coming, and that needs some new manufacturers. So I'm really hoping that we are having good solutions to find the reduce the cost and keep, first of all, the M-Sport driving in the championship, and having some more manufacturers to create places for the young drivers.
Yeah, young drivers is so important, as are new manufacturers. Teemu, I'm going to apologise to you. I've called you Teemu at least 2 times this morning, and I know that's not your name. I don't know, probably not enough coffee at my kitchen table, I'm afraid. Sorry for that. I know what your name is, and I'll get it right from now on. Apologies for that. Now, what you say there about new drivers, that's interesting, and new manufacturers coming in. A question that came in from David, and he's somewhere in Spain, I think. This one came in through Instagram, interestingly. Young drivers. I'm going to start with you, Elfyn. Young drivers in your home country. Who are you seeing just now that has, you think, the potential in your home country, so in GB, the potential to make it perhaps into the World Rally Championship? Who would you like to see having an opportunity in the World Championship, Elfyn?
It's a difficult one, to be honest. There haven't been, let's say, so many Brits recently at the front of JWRC or anything like that. Obviously, Matt Edwards has been quite dominant at BRC level. So perhaps it would be interesting to see how he would get on a few more WRC2 rallies. But actually, the rallying activity seems to have been relatively quiet in the UK in terms of the junior formulas. And yeah, for me, it would be really nice to see if we could get a return of some one-make series, everybody in equal machinery with the same tyres, and see who then really rises to the top, because that is the way that you can compare these youngsters and see who shines through. And normally there's an opportunity at the end of those one-make series as well for them.
Yeah, I think it's absolutely the way forward, and it has to be encouraged. What I find interesting, Thierry, is your home championship, the Belgium Championship, one of the strongest championships in Europe, if not the world, I would say. It really is. It's a fantastic domestic championship. But, we are seeing a lot of R5 cars. We're seeing a lot of well-funded drivers. Are we seeing any junior drivers, Thierry, beginning to show in the Belgian Championship that maybe they are the next Thierry Neuville?
I mean, it's pretty challenging for young drivers at the moment. I mean, it's also nice if you have a goal in front of you and you're going to try to achieve that. But for the moment, we see drivers like Andreas Mikkelsen and even other names like Chris Meek retiring from WRC simply because there's no space anymore. So for young drivers, it must be pretty tough as well to keep up that high motivation, this hard work all the time, and a lot of compromises for them in their normal life to keep the level up, to fight for something you actually know it's going to be very difficult to achieve because there's no space left. And that makes it very challenging, not only for drivers in Belgium, but for drivers worldwide. And that's also, I think, why, I don't see in many countries now drivers who could do the next step into WRC. I don't know, it's 2 or 4 or 5. I don't remember how it's called now, but with the R5 car. So because this would be the next step for a driver who's driving in a local championship to jump into the R5 cars in WRC, get the experience of the roads, and then hope for a little push for many manufacturers to get into WRC. But the chances are very small.
Yeah, they are very small, and that you boys have all come through that route, the junior route. You've proved yourself in the the early entry machinery, and there have been thankfully opportunities. Maybe your timing has been a lot to do with it, because as you say there, Thierry, young drivers now are looking and saying, where is the opportunity? You've got the youngsters coming in. We've got Elfyn, you're still a youngster. Thierry, you're still relatively young yourself. And certainly Teemu, you are still, what I would class as a younger driver. For me, there are two potential opportunities that we need to explore. One is the one, Teemu, that you have talked about, which is new manufacturers. We need to try and attract new manufacturers. But what about the idea of making the third car for a junior driver? A driver who is maybe below a certain age limit, maybe with a certain limited amount of WRC experience. Could that work, Teemu?
I believe we are having now already 3 cars, so we should get the 4th car for the teams, and it would be interesting to get some youngster to the to the teams, and like we have those drivers. Like I think Jari Huttunen is now in Hyundai, making some works at least last year, and for sure there is some more youngsters coming and who would like to try. And for me, it would be great to give a chance for them and give a try.
Yeah, we have to. We absolutely have to give youngsters opportunity, and it is that opportunity, Elfyn, isn't it? That you need to see that there is that chance. Much as you know that you're the most talented youngster around you, the quickest, you're winning everything, but you need to know that even if you continue to prove yourself, there will be that opportunity at the very top level. That hasn't always been the case over the past 10 or so years, Elfyn.
No, not always been the case, but at the same time, there has been a lot of youngsters that have broken into the sport in the last 10 years. So LA, he came in, and in fairness, he did dominate his class in WRC2 and showed fantastic promise. And he has been picked up by Toyota, and results already speak for themselves. So I think the real talent that shines really, really bright is still finding its way there. Granted, it is very, very difficult, but like we say, I think the more manufacturers there are, the more cars are, the more chances. So ultimately, that is the easiest way to bring talent on.
I think you're absolutely right. And fingers crossed, these new regulations, as we've all said earlier on, encouraging those new manufacturers. We could certainly do with an extra 1 or 2 at some point. Now, boys, thank you very much for your joint questions. I have a question for each of you individually, though, if that's all right. And I'm going to start with you, Thierry. It comes from Captain Lobo. That always makes me laugh, that name. I've got no idea. I think it's a genuine person because he's interacted with me on Twitter before. Captain Lobo says, Thierry, the most embarrassing mistake that you have made at work. Now, that could be anything, because I'm sure you had other jobs before you got into a rally car. The most embarrassing mistake you've ever made? One that you're prepared to admit to?
Embarrassing. There are a lot of embarrassing things when you go off the road stupidly, or it happened a couple of times. I don't know which one was the most embarrassing, but I mean, it's simple to find out. Just go on YouTube and put Neuville crash, and you will find something for sure.
Yeah, there are some good ones, that's for sure. And what about the one in Germany? The crash was it Shakedown in Germany? That was a little embarrassing on your home event, wasn't it?
It was okay, obviously. It was a very small mistake.
You put it right.
I touched the curb in the inside in the corner because the road was quite narrow, and it kicked me straight into the vineyard. So it was a very small mistake with huge consequences, but at the end we put it right. So we walked home, on a high, and I don't know. I have had some moments, but I can't remember them now. I need to check myself again.
I think this is great because I think, it's a sign of where you boys are that perhaps you don't get embarrassed by these things. You just see them as, part of the sport, part of the game, part of the learning process. But I do like the question, so I'm going to ask it to you as well, Elfyn. Embarrassing at work. Now, again, I know that you've worked in your dad's garage. You know what? Have you ever put diesel in someone's petrol car and tried to deliver it back to them or anything like that?
I think I hauled the sump on something, bringing it up from the back compound when someone was coming to collect the car. I think I did that once, which probably wasn't the smartest move I did. But probably the most embarrassing moment one for me was taking the wheel off in the Salou Super Special on Rally Spain in the R5 car in front of 10,000 people or whatever it was. That was pretty embarrassing.
Yeah, that was one corner from the finishing line as well, wasn't it? Maybe 2 corners from the finishing line. Yeah. I remember trying to come and interview you after that. It wasn't the best interview ever, I have to say. But yeah, Teemu, what about yourself?
Yeah, I would say that's quite easy one for me. We have to go to 2015 when I was starting to drive my first 4-wheel drive rallies in Rally Estonia. And then at that time, I didn't have so much experience from the rallies, and it was new for me. So I was trying to find good pace there, and there was on one stage one really famous corner, which is just slippy for some reason. And actually, my team boss and the manager was watching that corner because it's famous. Many will crash there, but so I rolled my car there. But nobody warned me from that corner. It was quite embarrassing to be upside down and see like manager and team boss in that corner.
Yeah, it's never the driver's fault though. It's always someone else's fault for not warning you.
But I have to say, we learn a lot that when you don't have experience, even this corner was like on YouTube, and there was like plenty of videos that cars crashed, but I didn't have the information, so. Yeah, that was learning full experience, let's say.
Fabulous stuff. Gentlemen, actually, I am going to call that a day because I think you've been very entertaining, all three of you, and thank you very much for your time. Teemu Suninen, enjoy the rest of your time in Estonia. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And Elfyn Evans in sunny Wales. I was there last week for my family holiday. The sun always shines in Wales. Go out and enjoy a little bit of it. Thank you, Elfyn.
No problem at all. Good to talk to you again.
And obviously, Thierry Neuville, in Monte Carlo, enjoying the glorious Côte d'Azur out there. Thank you for your time this morning.
Yeah, thank you, guys. Nice afternoon.
So there we are, folks. That is 3 of our top drivers in the WRC joining us once again for DirtFish Debates. Don't forget, for all of the news, all of the updates with regards to the calendar, breaking news, keep an eye on dirtfish.com. Thank you for joining us at DirtFish Debates.